Hello class, so today we are going to be learning about plants, and specifically we're going to be learning about the external structures of plants. So anything that's on the outside of the plants like leaves, their roots, thorns, flowers, and this is going to try to help you figure out why they need these type of things to help them survive in the world, if it's in hot condition, dry, wet, if any animals wanted to try to get in there. So can anyone think of any plants that we might be talking about today that have specific structures to help them survive in the world? Yeah, trees, awesome, good. They have very long roots to help them survive, and yeah, we'll be talking about that later for sure. Anyone else want to add in? Yeah, so we have flowers that have their, plants that have the flowers on it for the insects to collect their pollen to help them survive. Good, awesome. And the other structures could be thorns, long roots, the leaves, and flowers like we talked about. So this is just a couple of plants that have specific external features to help them survive in the world. So all three of these have, so the first one on the left here has a waxy type of leaf that helps them keep the water in to help them survive when it's dry, or some plants just have that just because they have like longer roots to hold the water, and then the leaves hold the water above the soil. So these ones have vertical roots, which means that it goes up and down. And the next one in the middle is a cactus plant, and they have horizontal roots, which means that it goes from left to right. And this means that they collect the surface water. So it's under the soil, but it's just collecting the water that's at the top of the soil. And this helps them keep the water inside the cactus plant. And this one, like we talked about, has thorns. So this is for to keep any predator out or any animal that's trying to get into the plant. This helps them survive with that. The next plant is another cactus plant, and this one has specific roots. It has the bulbs that keep the water inside of it. So if it needs water, the plant will take up the water and use as much as it needs. This one also has thorns to keep the predator out as well. And the other types that we're going to be talking about is the pine tree leaves, and then flowers, succulents, and there's many more plants that have external features, but we're just going to be talking about a couple of them. So the left one here, the left picture, is called a succulent plant, and this one's kind of like an aloe plant. It has the external features that is like harder, so it keeps the water inside of it, so it doesn't need much water. It just holds the water, so whenever it needs water, it kind of just waters itself. The next one on the right is going to be a pine tree. Like we talked about in the beginning, we have pine trees all around Minnesota. They have very long, thin leaves that help them store the water that they need and keeps them alive during the winter for the most part. So some structures have the pokey outer layer, which we talked about before, so that the wildlife or any predators don't harm it or eat it. Which one can you think of that we talked about before? Yeah, awesome. The cactus plant. There was also the other cactus plant that we looked at, the before picture. Awesome. And then plants also have the leaf structures, so the external features as well. So this helps them keep in the water for any of the hot and dry days that it would go through, or wet days just to keep out water. Which one can you think about for this one? Yeah, the aloe plant. That one had the waxy outer coating for the leaves, and also the succulent leaves as well, and the pine trees. So like we talked about before, we were going to get into the flowers and the leaves for them as well. So the flowers has a specific kind of like they're built specifically for each plant, so that each insect, when it comes to pollinate them to help them survive, they can get in and out really quick, and then they can leave, so they can pollinate other leaves, other flowers around it. So that helps them to survive, to keep the most efficient flower structure. And then the leaf structure, that are special to the plant to keep in the water to hold it in there were the pine trees, the aloe leaves, and then the succulent like we talked about before. So the roots for the trees or any of the cactuses, how it was horizontally or vertically, the trees are mostly vertically and kind of horizontally, kind of depends on what tree it is. But this is for them to collect the deep water under the soil. And other ones that have roots are the corn plants. So any ones in the fields, they have really long roots so they don't fall over. And then the desert plants like the cactus, and they had the horizontal or vertical like we talked about before. So let's do a plant activity. So today on the right hand side, I drew my own plant and I picked the cactus, and we are going to label some of the parts of a plant to show their external features. So I picked the thorns on the outside to keep any animals or prey out of it so it doesn't eat it or ruin it, and then the roots that grew horizontally to help them collect the surface water. So now you can pick any ones you want. Raise your hand, I'll give you a couple minutes to do that, and we will come back in a couple minutes. Awesome. Well, now that we are done with that, we will go over them and look at them, and we can hang them up over by the window over here, and we can look at them throughout the week. If you find any plants that you would like to share, we could definitely share them in the morning meeting tomorrow or any of the other days that you want to talk about it. And yeah, you guys did awesome. We will talk about this tomorrow.